full time here. We were treated to champagne hurling, as I called it, Tommy. What a great day for hurling. A great day for Galway. Less so for Tipperary, but for the neutral fan watching at home, it killed a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, MT, I think it was an epic. Just goes to show, like, the top two teams on the biggest days where it's, winner takes all, loser goes home. It produces a masterclass, like 2-point win for Galway in the end. We saw the trilogy in 15, 16, 17. I think 1 point separated the teams each time. Today it was only 2 points. After half time, it looked like Tipperary were going to go on. They were 4 points up going into the second half. They went 4 points up again later on. But I thought Galway showed true character here today. Dahi Burke, who was having a tough enough afternoon in the first half with trying to hold on to Callanan. And last 20 minutes, he was a colossus. And won ball after ball when you really needed him to win it. And wouldn't it have been wonderful to have 20,000 Galway lads here to cheer him on and roar him on as he was coming out of it. But and that's not to take away from Tipperary. Like, it takes two teams to serve up an epic, and they were just outdone by the goal, really. That was the one that really changed the game. And they were brilliant. Alan Flynn from Killadangan was outstanding for them. Like, he showed heart like a lion out there.
It's funny because Seamie Callanan was accused of losing his goal scoring streak. Galway had been accused of losing it, but they brought it in spades here today. And I know it's a phrase and a stereotype, goals win games, but not only do goals win games, goals at specific times win games, as we saw today.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with that. Like, Galway won the All-Ireland in 2017, and they didn't score any goals, as far as I can remember. They won the All-Ireland by scoring all points. Go back to even when I was hurling that time, the reason Galway used to trouble you was because they were brilliant at scoring goals. They have the players, they have the power. So what's the difference then? You have to go for him. You have to go for the juggler. So when you're 30 yards out, the point is on. Get your name on the score sheet. Maybe tip it along. But no, if the goal is on, the real good forwards will know it. And surprising enough, I think it was Adrian Toohey that got that ball. It was one of the Galway guys anyway, won the ball over on the far side of the field. It was a perfect example of just tip the ball over, your name goes on the score sheet, and maybe you'll hold on. But no, passed it in. It ended up with Aidan Hart, who was just an absolute rocket to the bottom right hand corner. And he's a defender, like cornerback now. He did start off his career in the forwards. I marked him a couple of times. And so, like, what a goal. And he didn't start the last day. And goals win matches, and they definitely got the goal at the right time.
It's funny watching that game. Tipperary had a great performance and they still just didn't win. That's not going to help the feeling in that dressing room right now. The lads driving home tonight and the winter coming ahead. Will Liam Sheedy, though, it's very early for him yet, but do you think will he look back on the season and just think, it is what it is, we did our best, or will there be certain things he'll be targeting for next year?
I'd probably disagree with you on that. I think they'll be absolutely disappointed, but I think they'll be delighted with their performance. Most of them anyway. Thought the Mars were brilliant in that first half. The Rhoda Mar, who had a huge duel with Conor Whelan, one of them would win one ball, the other would win the next, and I thought it was just heart in your sleeve kind of stuff from the two of them. Brendan Maher, he was picked at corner back today, and suddenly then when Galway picked Dave O'Burke as kind of a roving half-back, back from the wing forward position, Tipperary switched around their sweepers. So they put Brendan Maher, who had a terrific campaign, if we remember last year with Boris Lee, they put him as the sweeper and they put back Pádraig Maher in the full back line. I thought they'll be proud of their performances. I thought Callanan was super up front, Noel McGrath scored 4 points. I thought that Bonnar was at his best here today, and I was disappointed to see him coming off because I thought he was hurling brilliantly and setting up a lot of scores, so I couldn't believe when he was hauled ashore.
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that because that was actually going to be my exact next question, so I'll let you go for it. Why do you think he was taken off? Because I looked around, not that there's many people here, but those of us who were puzzled faces.
Yeah, I was puzzled, and possibly Liam Sheedy likes to make changes. And listen, he won the All-Ireland in 2010. The next time he was involved was last year, won the All-Ireland. So you'd have to trust he knows what he's doing. I would imagine he brings on his subs, and was he looking at Bonnar? Right, Bonner's only back. This is his first year back after a cruciate injury. Let's bring on a fresh, he had a brilliant, first whatever it was, 50 or 60 minutes. Let's bring on a fresh guy to maybe bring it over the line. And it has worked very well for him in the past. You go back to 2010, Sheedy subs that came on were brilliant. Last year, the subs when they come on play brilliantly as well. So seeing it here today, like last week, Willie Connors came on, set up that goal for Jake Morris to probably bring home the victory against Cork. So he does trust his bench, which is a great thing in the long run. But I was surprised to see Bonnar coming off, because what Bonnar does, and I said it earlier on, Liam Keown used to say it does, when we were hurling at Tullaroan. There's that beside you not going well. Give him a hand pass. Get him into the game. And that's what Bonnar does. He gives a ball to Callan, gives a ball to Noel McGrath and these guys. And that's what brings them in the game. And then everyone is winning.
You mentioned Jake Morris there. Very lucky man to not have left the field of play on 2 yellow cards. And then Cathal Barrett left on... a yellow card's a yellow card and that's it, but people will say, that was softer. But that has to be a factor as well, that Tipperary will be able to take with them and say, okay, we lost, but we were a man down.
Yeah, and could have won, like they got it back to a point with them 2 frees late. I would love to see the rules are the rules, and I wouldn't blame the referees because they have to enforce them or they probably don't get games going forward. But I'd rather see, let's make an excuse to keep a lad on the field as opposed to send them off. So remember the old, I know they laugh at you now, but the old lads, the ref would see you coming over and he only booked lads that time, and he'd know, right, was that sending off offence? And if it was, off you go, and he'd point to the sideline, and more often than not you deserved it, and that's where you went. But now I hate seeing it's not for a mistake, because when you're soling in with the ball, I just know from playing it, right, it's I suppose praised for its kind of combatable style, where there's shoulders, there's big hits, and then there's the skill, there's the twisting and turning. So if a lad gives you a twist left or right or a dummy, suddenly you're in the wrong position, he goes over, and then it's an easy second yellow. I'd love to be a referee to be given that power to use his common sense and say, you know what, is that sending off offence? No, we'll keep him on the field. So I don't know, because as I said to the lads, I didn't know Cathal Barrett was sent off, so I can't really comment on it. I remember
you're our Chris Kamara here at our hurling games.
yeah, something like that, because I only noticed it through all the WhatsApps coming in. I'm in 2 good WhatsApp groups at home. The class of 95 are on me Tullaroan lads and 1 or 2 Ballycallan lads, and the fashion icons then are lads from Muckalee and Comer and all Aucklands and Galway, and they were hopping off the WhatsApp about, sending off this and sending off. And I said, was someone sent off, So so I can't really comment on that, because I didn't see it. No television replay beside me, but obviously, I don't think it was a factor, because I think they still hurled well right until the goal changed it.
And I hate to be that person to say this to a complete hurling piece of royalty here, but it kind of brings back the discussion too of, football has the black card, the cynical fouling. We're seeing it week in, week out in hurling, where somebody's bearing down and go, Galway did it today, where Tipperary could have had a late goal, but they didn't because it ended up being a free.
Yeah, and I accept that question, but what I would say from still playing the game, and if it was to happen to us, or if it was to happen for us, I'd take it. Very frustrating if it happened against you, but I think the long term, the overall picture is the black card don't like it. Just see lads getting black cards for nothing, and it really changes games. And I don't know, would a black card mean he's gone and you bring on a sub, or is he sin bin for 10 minutes? But I just think we're such a community based country, the GEA, that you're there for your parish, you're there for your community, you're there for your county, right? So a big game comes, you get a black card, you're gone for, we'll say if it's a sin bin, 10 minutes, suddenly your team loses because of that period. You have to go walk back and meet your people, and I'd say it would be horrific. The same thing with if you had to go for a black card and you're just gone for the game, same thing. And I would rather see, listen, it's not ideal, but from playing the game still, I would still rather for that as a general rule for everybody, so that nobody's blamed for losing anyone the game.
Tommy, you are a hurling purist, that can never be held against you. Final question now, call it very, very briefly. You're in your maroon jacket, will Galway beat Limerick?
It's going to be a great game. I don't know, it's in Croke Park. Limerick are the form team. What will suit Galway is they'll be coming in here now as underdogs. That might suit them. They'll have the confidence of today, character building. The game was there to be lost, but they had to dig it out, and by God they did. So that'll be a tremendous lift for them going into the Limerick game. I'd see it as a 50-50, so a draw.
I leave you on the fence there, Gurmila Mahad, Tommy. Thank you.